Today I'm going to be sharing 5 brand new casseroles that are absolutely quick and easy to make, so they're perfect for this fall weather and especially on a busy weeknight. Hey y'all, I'm Sammy and welcome to my kitchen. Now let's get right on into cooking. So we are going to start out by making this $1 million chicken tot casserole. Now this one was new to us, but I had to give it a try because I love tater tot casserole, so why not? So into a large bowl, we're going to go ahead and start out by mixing everything together in here, and then we're going to put our tots into a sprayed 9x13 casserole dish. So we're going to heat up, make sure you have 1 block, 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese. I just put mine in the microwave for a little bit, about 30 seconds or so, and then just to where it was nice and soft, we're going to go ahead and kind of mash that around a little bit. We're going to add in next 1 packet of ranch seasoning mix. That's about 3 tablespoons of the powder. So that goes right in there. Then we're going to add in 8 ounces of sour cream. Now this is a 16-ounce container. You could buy the little small containers and just use the entire container, or just do what I did and just eyeball it. I took about half of that container out, which would be 8 ounces. Then you'll just want to mix everything together until it is well combined. Now, once all of that is nice and creamy, we're going to go ahead and add in 1.5 cups of milk. You could probably use heavy cream if you wanted to, but the milk really kind of thins it out enough to where it'll coat everything that you're getting ready to add into it. Now you could use a wire whisk to mix this together, but I just went ahead and used my little wooden spurtle. I love those things, but please feel free to use whatever utensil you want. We're going to add in 2 to 3 cups of cooked shredded chicken or cubed chicken like I used. Then you'll add in 1 cup of broccoli. You could use fresh or frozen. 1 cup of chopped up bacon pieces. I just used the real bacon pieces. And then you're going to add in about 1 cup of cheddar cheese and about 1/2 cup of green onions, or like sliced sweet onions or chopped up sweet onions, whatever you want to use. Even if you don't like onions, you could always leave them out and maybe use onion powder instead. But once we give this a good old mix, and just make sure everything that's coated, I wanted to add in a little bit of salt and pepper, so I'll do that next. I was just kind of sitting there thinking, I'm like, this probably really needs some salt and pepper, but so I added in about 1 teaspoon each of those, and now I'm going to go ahead and stir that on through just to make sure everything has that seasoning on it. And once you have this mixed, go ahead and set that aside and grab you a 9x13 sprayed casserole dish. I just used a non-stick like vegetable spray. You could use a butter spray, olive oil, whatever you got. But then you'll go ahead and line the bottom of them with some tater tots or crispy crowns. I'm using crispy crowns because that's what I had on hand, but use whatever you have. You'll just put a nice even layer at the bottom. Of course, me being me, I had to make sure there was no holes. And once you have those tots nice and laid out, you'll just go ahead and pour that chicken mixture right on top. Make sure you scrape all that yumminess out of the bowl because you don't want to leave nothing in there. Waste not, want not in this house. We'll go ahead and spread that evenly over top of the tater tots. And once you have that done, you guessed it, we're going to come back in with another layer of those crispy crowns or tater tots, whatever you prefer. Either way you look at it, it's a tater tot. One's just flat and one looks like a little barrel. So once you have the entire top lined with the tots, you'll go ahead and put the remaining cup of cheese right over the top of this. Now, I decided to go ahead and use some Kinder's buttery garlic and herb seasoning over the top of this, but you could put like basil over it. You could even do like an Italian seasoning mix, or you could leave this part off altogether. But I wanted something over the top of it, so I'm using the buttery garlic and herb seasoning mix by Kinder's. Once you have that in there, this goes into a 375-degree oven for 35 to 45 minutes, just depending on your oven. Now, would you look at this deliciousness right here? This was absolutely amazing, and it was so simple. Pretty much a dump and bake recipe, in my opinion, but you can't get any better than this because you've got your poultry or your protein, you got your veggies, you got your dairy, everything's in here. So it's like a meal in one. But you could also serve it up with some green beans or a small side salad, whatever you wanted. But I just put some fresh green onions and a little bit more Parmesan cheese over top of mine. But y'all, this is seriously amazing. It is definitely a $1 million tot casserole, so give it a try. All of my recipes will be in the description box below, either a link for you to click on, or it might be a topped out recipe that I'm going to be adding to my cookbook. So go check that out. Now, moving right along, let's make my tater tot casserole, the one I originally started out making, the OG, the original tater tot casserole. Into a large skillet, I've got 1 to 2 pounds of ground beef in here. I'm going to season that up with a teaspoon each of pepper, salt, garlic powder, and onion powder. I'm also going to use this caramelized onion butter by Kinder's, another teaspoon of that. Right on top of that ground beef, y'all, goes some black garlic by Badia. If you can find some Badia seasonings, I found mine at my local grocery store, but you could also order them off at Amazon too. But once you have all the seasonings on there, we're going to go ahead and just brown this up in that skillet until you see no more pink and that beef is thoroughly cooked through. Then we'll go ahead and drain the grease off of that if you have any, but I usually use a lean ground beef. Next, we will add in 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. You could use any brand. I just happened to catch the Campbell's brand on sale this week, so that's why I went ahead and used those. You'll go ahead and make sure you stir all of that until well combined. Once that is well combined, this is just my preference. I add in about a cup of heavy whipping cream into it. You could use milk as well. Then you'll just want to go ahead and stir all of that together. I find that it's easier to stir in the soups first and then add in the cream. So that's why I do it like I do it. Just my preference, but you do however you feel. Then we're going to add in 1 cup of Monterey Jack cheese that I have shredded up and give that a mix together. Now this is different than any other recipe that you've seen out there because typically they don't add the cheese in the mixture. So the link that I have below will not show the cheese being added in here, but this is just my version. I've got to type up my recipe. So into a 9x13 deep dish casserole, I've got a layer of tater tots at the bottom. And just for reference, I use a 32-ounce bag of tater tots, and I put about half on the bottom and half on top. Then you'll pour your cheesy meat mixture right on top of that, kind of spread that out just to make sure all those tots are covered. Next, we're going to add in, you guessed it, the rest of those tater tots, y'all. Goes right over the top, and y'all know already that I've got to be Miss Nitpicky and put them in a perfect line. I've even done a design before. But however you want to do it, please feel free to do it since you're cooking for your family. This is just how I do it for mine. But once you have those tots lined up, we're going to come in with the remaining 1 cup of cheese, and that goes right over the top. Now you could put salt and pepper on it, but I find those soups have salt in it already, so I do not put any kind of salt or anything over the top of this. This goes into a 375-degree oven for 35 to 45 minutes, and supper is going to be ready in a hurry. So if you're looking for something easy to make for your family during a busy weeknight, definitely give this one a try. You're not going to regret it. Plus, it's easy peasy to make. So I serve mine up with some sour cream and some chopped green onions. I just find that this adds a freshness to it, and the sour cream kind of gives it that extra creaminess that you're looking for. And of course, you got all that ooey gooey cheese, because y'all know, mo cheese, mo better. Now this one was new to us. It's a cilantro lime chicken and rice casserole, and it's just made in a skillet or a casserole dish, however you want to. But I've got an enamel cast iron skillet that I'm going to use since I can put it right into the oven. So make sure if you want to do it this way where you have less cleanup, you have a oven safe skillet that you can do this in. So I've got some marinated chicken here, which you'll see in the recipe below. I just marinated that overnight, and we're just gonna kind of sear the chicken on both sides because it's gonna cook in the oven. So once you have some color on one side of it, you'll go ahead and flip that on over, sear the other side, and then we'll pull all of that chicken out, and you'll see all the brown yummy bits in there. You want that, trust me. So we'll go ahead and set that chicken aside. We're going to add in about 2.5 cups of chicken broth, I believe, to this mixture. Like I said, the recipe's down below, and I didn't stray from that, so everything is exactly how it should be. But you want to put that chicken broth in there to where you can scrape up those brown bits, and that's all flavor, y'all. You need that scraped up off there because this is what you're going to cook your rice in. I added about a half a teaspoon of salt right there. And we're going to take the zest of 1 lime. As you can see here, I'm just got my little zester right there, and I'm just going to scrape off the green. You don't want that, the white stuff coming in there at all. And then we're going to take about a 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro in there, and about 2 tablespoons of lime juice also goes into that mixture. Give that a nice stir together and kind of let that simmer for a few minutes, not very long, but you just want to make sure that that cilantro and the lime and the salt all come together. Then you're going to add in 1.5 cups of a jasmine or a basmati rice. I'm just using the jasmine right here, and I'm so glad I did because it cooked up beautifully, y'all. It was so good. Give that a stir together, and then let that sit on your stovetop for approximately, just 3 to 5 minutes. You might need to add more salt. I tasted the broth, and it did need a little something because of that rice is going to cook that up. So make sure you test it or taste it and see if you need salt or anything before you put your chicken back in there. But this was amazing. And like I said, I did let it cook on the stovetop for about 3 to 5 minutes before I turned the heat off and placed the chicken back on top of this rice. So I'm just kind of nestling that chicken right up in all this flavor, and just to make sure I have it all in that skillet. And I do put the juice off of that plate right in here too, because that is just extra flavor and it is not going to hurt anything. Pop that lid right on your skillet, and this goes into a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes. And I'm going to tell you what, your house is going to smell amazing because you have that lime and the cilantro. I know a lot of people don't like cilantro, but I'm telling you what, it is perfect in this dish. So if you're not one that likes cilantro and you might think it tastes like soap, this one might not be for you. But I still think the lime and the other seasonings would still be good. You could maybe use a little less cilantro than I did, but I would definitely still give this one a try because it is delicious and it was so good. That chicken was moist and tender, and the rice was so fluffy, and it almost had a creamy texture to it. So to finish it off, once I kind of stirred all that rice, kind of, to make sure it wasn't stuck, I put some Parmesan cheese on the top right here, put it back into the oven on broil just to let that cheese melt. Didn't take very long at all, and to serve it up, I just put a little bit of more fresh cilantro on top with some lime wedges and some Parmesan cheese. I also made like a green salsa verde ranch. It's pretty simple to make. I just make my own ranch dressing and add in some salsa verde to it and shake that up, and that's what I put over the top of mine. It was amazing, so you might have to give that one a try too. But I promise you, this one is going to be a party in your mouth for sure. It is absolutely delicious. So you'll definitely have to give this one a try. I know it's going to be on repeat in my house, and I hope it will be in your house too. This one was a winner chicken dinner in our books, y'all. So good. Moving right along into my Mexican street corn chicken casserole. Yep, Mexican street corn chicken casserole. So into a large bowl, we are going to take or add in 1 cup of sour cream, however you want to say it. Now I'm eyeballing it right here, but that's perfectly okay. So I've got 1 cup of sour cream going into this large bowl. We are going to add in a 1/3 of a cup of Duke's mayonnaise, or maybe a little more. Whatever you think you need. But this is the recipe. Like I said, I'll have it down below. You're going to add in about 2 teaspoons of chili powder. You need to leave some for the top of this too, so you kind of divide it. So about 1.5 teaspoons go in here. I'm going to add in about 1/2 teaspoon of tahini seasoning, and then 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You're going to add in 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And of course, y'all know I got to add in about a teaspoon pepper. You got to have some pepper, am I right? Now we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of lime juice. This wasn't in the original recipe, but I added it to my recipe because I thought I needed it. And I was right. Next, we're going to take a whisk and just make sure this is well mixed together before we add in 2 to 3 cups of cooked diced chicken. I didn't shred it. I just diced it up. That way, you have a little bit more of a texture when you bite into it. We're going to add in 2 bags of corn. It was the frozen corn. You could use canned corn. Just make sure it is well drained. Then we're going to add in 1 to 2 teaspoons of cilantro.
I only used about a teaspoon in it because we're going to put more on top. Then this block of queso fresco, or you could use like the cotija cheese. I put in the queso fresco. You just need like a Mexican crumbling cheese that has a little bit of a bite to it. So I added in half of that round block to the mixture. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and make sure everything is well combined into this bowl. So you'll just give it a nice stir together until everything is covered in that sour cream and mayonnaise and all that yumminess, y'all. Then you'll get a 9x13. You could probably use a smaller casserole dish too, because this one, it doesn't have anything else to add to the bottom or the top of it. So that would, add any height. So you could actually honestly use a smaller one if you wanted, but the 9x13 worked out perfectly for us. Then you're going to take the remaining about half a block to a quarter of that block and put more cheese on top of this casserole with the other half a teaspoon of chili powder on top. Now, I also decided to add some more tahini to mine because I love that seasoning, y'all. This is totally optional. You could leave it out if you wanted to, but I just went ahead and threw it on in mine. Once you have everything on there, you will go ahead and take another half a teaspoon of that cilantro, put that right on top of it. You could always leave that out if you wanted or if you don't want it. This goes into a 350 degree oven for about 30 to 40 minutes, just depending on how your oven cooks. As you can see right here, it is cooked up perfectly. This was straight hot and fresh out of the oven, so it was still nice and bubbly. You do want to let this cool for about 10 to 15 minutes before serving, but I just put some more cotija cheese or the queso fresco cheese on top, some more cilantro, a little bit more tahini seasoning, and I just put some lime wedges on top so you could kind of squeeze those right over it to get that fresh lime flavor. Y'all, this was absolutely delicious. It is definitely a party in your mouth. If you like Mexican street corn, definitely give this one a try. As I said before, I will have all the recipes linked down below for you lovely people to try them. This one was another winner chicken dinner. Now, moving right along, this was probably my favorite of all week, was a beefy pepperoni pasta casserole. Something I have come up with because I have made a different version of it before, but I wanted to amp it up. So I have got a 16-ounce box of dry elbow macaroni. It's going to go into a sprayed with nonstick spray 9x13 casserole dish. Just kind of make sure that's even in the bottom. You're going to take whatever kind of pasta sauce you want or marinara sauce. This was a 24-ounce jar, which is fine. If you find a 28 or 26 ounce, you could use that too. But you just pour that pasta sauce all over the top. Take 2 to 2.5 cups of water. Put that right into that jar. Put that lid back on it. Give it a good old shake through because you want everything to come out. That's how you're going to cook this pasta. So I go ahead and just give that a good shake. We're going to pour that all over the pasta and the sauce. Now comes the beefy part. I cooked up 1 to 2 pounds of ground beef. I just seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon each. Browned that up, drained it, and now we are adding this into our casserole dish. So I just kind of poured it around a little bit even, which really don't matter because you're going to have to stir it up here in a minute, but this is how my brain processes stuff. Then you're going to add in 3/4 cup to a cup of chopped up pepperonis. And here's the secret ingredient, y'all. It's the secret ingredient. Tell me what this is from. It's oregano. It's the secret ingredient. I know y'all got to know who that's from or what show that's off of, so let me know in the comments below. But you are going to add in about a 1/4 teaspoon to a half a teaspoon of oregano and about a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder. Goes right over the top of that, but you season to your little heart's content because you're cooking for your family. So definitely add as much or as little as you want to. Recipes are always customizable for your family. Now, y'all know we got to go in with some garlic, or aka garlic, which is a lot milder than fresh garlic, so that's why y'all see me adding in a lot. So I put in 2 heaping tablespoons of the minced garlic. Then we're going to just go ahead and take that same spoon, since we're not going back in there, we're just going to give this a good old mix together just to make sure that the ground beef, the pepperonis, and everything is well mixed together before we put our tinfoil on it. to go into the oven. So I'm just going to go sit here, cover this up with some tin foil. My oven is preheated though. It is preheated to 425 degrees, okay? Should have said that at the beginning, but better late than never, right? So into the oven it goes for 425 degrees for 25 minutes covered. So once that is out, that 25 minutes is up, you go ahead and take that foil off, but make sure you're very careful so you don't burn your fingers with steam or on the dish. Go ahead and stir it together again just to see how that pasta is cooking. Plus you want to move it around and get more of that flavor together just to make sure that the macaroni on top goes to the bottom and vice versa to where everything cooks evenly. So once you have this stirred together, what do you think we're going to add next? Y'all should know this by now because y'all know your girl here loves some cheese. So right to the top of this, we are going to add in, who's going to guess it? 1 heaping cup of mozzarella cheese to the top, but I used about 1.5 cups because more cheese, more better. I know y'all probably get tired of hearing that, but that's me, y'all. You ain't gonna get me any different. So grate it over to the top of this pasta dish. We're going to go ahead and make sure that is evenly layered, and we're going to go ahead and top it off with some pepperonis. Now I put about 12 to 15 pieces of pepperoni right over the top of mine. If you want more, please feel free to do that, but this was enough for us. Now we're going to take some parsley, add that to the top of it. Its flavor, its beautifulness, it just kind of completes the dish, but you could always use some more oregano, more secret ingredient to the top of this, y'all, if you want to. But I added about 1 to 2 teaspoons on top. Now this goes back into that oven for about another 12 to 15 minutes to let that cheese melt, those pepperonis get cooked through, and make sure the pasta is very well cooked together, or al dente, how I like it. So it was perfectly done by this time. I went ahead and pulled that out. You're going to want to let that sit at least 5 minutes before serving so you do not scorch your mouth. But I have to show y'all this cheese pull. It is amazing. Oh my goodness, would you look at that? I had to kind of scoop it up with that plate. I just topped it off with some fresh Parmesan cheese and some parsley or basil on top. And y'all, this one, I promise you, is not going to fail anybody in your family. Everyone is going to love it because it is that good. So seriously, give this one a try. If you don't make any of the other ones, you need this one in your life. You could serve it up with a side salad or some veggies, whatever you choose, but just make this one. Trust me on it. You won't regret it. Now, we're going to make a French onion chicken bubble up, y'all. If y'all don't know what a bubble up is, it uses canned biscuits, as you see right here. This is an 8-count canned biscuit. I'm just going to cut this into about 6 pieces for each biscuit. You could actually honestly cut them into 4, like cut it into halves and then cut those into 4. So you have 8 pieces of biscuit, however you want to do it. But I just chose to do 6 pieces this time. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up all of these biscuits right here. Just get them on into a large bowl. Once you have all of those biscuits cut up, this is when the fun starts. So you're going to add in about 2 cups of shredded rotisserie chicken. You could cook your own if you wanted to. You're going to add in 1 can of cream of chicken soup. Then you are going to add in about 8 to 12 ounces of French onion dip. I love the hell of a good dip. It is my absolute favorite. As you can see here, I used a 1 cup measuring cup. So I used 8 ounces of the French onion dip. Make sure you scrape all that goodness off, y'all. Y'all don't want to miss any of this. Trust me on it, okay? Now that we have everything in there, we're going to go ahead and add in our cheese next. So I added in 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. You want to leave the other 1/2 cup to a cup for the top. You want to make sure you stir this very well. Those biscuits are going to be kind of hard to get into that mix, but you could even put everything in there first and then add the biscuits to the top, however you wanted. Make sure that mix was stirred together. But this just kind of broke those biscuits down a little bit more, which is perfectly fine. It actually made it better, in my opinion. So into a 9x13 sprayed casserole dish, you're just going to go ahead and take that mixture, put that right into that casserole dish. Make sure you scrape that bowl out so you don't miss any of that yumminess in there. And you'll just kind of press that into the bottom of your casserole dish. It will be thick, like I've said before. but you can do it. It works out just fine in the end. So once I have everything smoothed out and pressed down, we're going to take some pepper right to the top of this. I think pepper is a good finishing seasoning in my opinion. So you definitely need to add some of that. Now in goes the next half a cup to a cup of cheese, whatever you want, right over the top of it. But y'all know I love me some cheese and some garlic over here. I ain't never been lying about that one. So you just want to make sure you put your cheese right over the top of that. Then we're going to use some French fried onions. I took about 3/4 of a cup to a cup of those, kind of crushed them up in the bag right there. That way you don't have such big old hunks of the French fried onions. And I put that right over the top. This goes into a 375-degree oven for about 35 to 45 minutes. Just make sure those biscuits are cooked through and everything is nice and golden brown and bubbly for this bubble up bake. Now I'm going to go ahead and just dive right on into this. Cut me a big old heaping helping of it out of this casserole dish. I just want to show y'all what this looks like when it comes out here. I'm going to tell you what, this one was good, y'all. So if you're looking for something different, something easy, definitely try this one. It is not going to disappoint y'all, I promise. This is going to be another winner chicken dinner in my book. I know I had a lot of chicken recipes in here, but I think I gave you a pretty good variety. So if you liked today's video, how about you go ahead and give me a big old thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have y'all as part of my YouTube family. Plus, do you really want to miss out on any more of these delicious recipes? I know I wouldn't want to miss them, y'all.
All right, that is it for today's video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give me thumbs ups in the comments below. And think about hitting that subscribe button and becoming part of my YouTube family. I would absolutely love to have you. It is totally free, so why not do it? If you are in need of prayer, please let me know down below, and I would be honored to pray for you all, but from my heart to yours. God bless. Bye.